I was really at a loss. But I started thinking about how many of us have at one time or other attempted to write B&B fiction. And even if you hadn't tried it, you probably thought about it. And maybe you just thought it was too hard, you couldn't come up with an idea. But even if you've written a dozen fanzines, I'm sure you had moments when you just couldn't think of the right word, didn't have the idea that would get you rolling. And I thought how great it would be to have another fan there who was just as enthusiastic as you and who could give you that word or that idea that would get you going. So what I thought we'd do here today, since we have all these creative people in one place, is collaborate on a B&B short story.
Dirty trick.
A dirty trick. And, well, see, it's very hard to write a story that will please everybody because different elements of the show appeal to different people. But if everybody writes it, then everybody should like it, right? That's the theory. That's the theory. Okay, so what Anne is doing is passing out some lists of words. And for the most part, they're parts of speech, noun, verb, adverb, whatever. Some of them are a little bit more specific than that. And if you, for instance, if it says noun, and you want to say waffle iron, which is 2 words, that's quite all right. You know, this is supposed to be creative. Don't feel restricted to words that you would perhaps expect to see in a reading of these short stories, because we want to lift this out of the ordinary. What I did a couple of days ago was just write down a bare bone structure of kind of a basic B&B short story, but it's frankly very boring. So I'm counting on you to make it interesting. So use your imaginations. I don't think there's anybody in here under 21.
Mentally,
Keep keep in mind, I am a PG writer, and I have to read this out loud. So be nice to me. It takes place on a mythical 3rd anniversary for Vincent and Catherine's first meeting. I could have told you that beforehand, but I didn't. Let's see how beautiful this is. The sun was setting over New York City, turning the sky a lovely shade of purple. In Central Park, the children who had been playing Toss the Unicorn and Kick the Forest began to drift away. Traffic snarled as office workers stuffed their hands into their briefcases and joined the crowds. Taxi drivers shouted kind words at the jailers, who made warm gestures in return. And heard across the streets like, oh no, this is poetic, this is what we're reaching for here. And heard across the streets like brooks heading for a landscape. In the criminal courts building, Catherine Chandler smiled with satisfaction as she shoved the last of her files into a desk drawer overflowing with dreams and shadows. I asked you, are you guys good or what? The clock said it was quitting time. The calendar said it was April 12th. Tonight they would celebrate another anniversary, and this time there would be no interruptions. Last year had been a disaster. The evening spoiled by a peeping Tom who left lovely messages on her answering machine. She shivered at the memory of the opaque things he had threatened to do to her. But of course, Vincent had come to her rescue. With one blow, he had destroyed her assailant like a bed twirling a ballroom. Tonight would be different. Instead of candles, she had decorated the balcony and her apartment with dozens of dancers. She hoped Vincent would find them romantic. There should be enough time to shower and change into the new dress she bought for the occasion. A print with tiny onlookers and dreams alternating across the bodice. Onlookers and what? Onlookers and dreams. dreamers alternating across the office.
Rather abstract.
Sorry. Anticipation was growing in her like a goblet. As Catherine stopped by Joe's office to say goodnight, she stuck her head in just as he lobbed a tunnel at the target behind the door. It landed in the wastebasket along with a gate and 2 books. Sorry, Radcliffe, he shot her a beautiful grin that made him look a little like Vincent Wells. You're just the person I want to see. I only wanted to let you know I was leaving, Catherine said, already backing out the door. Wait, I've been meaning to tell you all day how nice you look. That color really brings out the eyes in your hair. Catherine wasn't fooled for a minute. Okay, Joe, what is it you really want? Just 5 minutes of your time, 10 tops. You remember the Detweiler case? Catherine thought a moment. You mean the guy who was smuggling arms in from Hackensack, New Jersey? Right, but we didn't have enough to indict. Well, I got a tip that he's been selling breasts in Jersey.
Selling what?
Breasts. That's crushing, Catherine said. Yeah, tell me about it. The guy has all the ethics of Pete Solo. I need you to dig up your notes on his priors before you take off. A refusal was on the tip of her tongue. This was no ordinary night, and after all, she put in more hours of unpaid overtime than anyone else in the office, except for Joe himself. All right, she conceded and hurried back to the file cabinet, fairly confident that she knew where to put her hands on the pertinent information. However, the manila envelope she drew out contained only a sweetie and several eyes and a picture of a hunky-dory door. Damn, she threw an anxious glance at the clock. All day the hands had hardly seemed to move, and now they were racing like a stallion with a star tied to its tail. It was several minutes before she located the Detweiler file, and she wasted no time in rushing back to Joe's office to toss it on his desk. Thanks, Kathy, I owe you one. Tell you what, I'll stop and pick up a dozen stars on the way to the office. How does that sound? To tell you the truth, Joe, I'd rather have wishes. But I appreciate the thought. See you in the morning. Turning away before he could think of anything else to detain her, Catherine found herself face to face with Jenny Aronson. Oh, Catherine, I'm so glad I caught you. Can we go somewhere and talk? Actually, Jen, I was just leaving. I'm in kind of a hurry. You mean you have a date? Whatever the urgency of her mission, Jenny was clearly delighted to be sidetracked by this piece of unexpected news. Her eyes shone like waves. What's he like? Is he happy, exquisite, and honorable?
Well, too bad it's
Not exactly, Catherine said cautiously, aware that she'd opened a can of worms, or at least a can of chairs. I'll call you about it tomorrow, but I really don't want to be late. Okay. Well, I guess you answered my question anyway, Jenny said with a personable smile. It was about Rebecca's brother, Buddy. He's in town and he asked me to go to that new musical, A Few Good Kisses. It's based on the life of Linda Long, and the music's supposed to be absolutely beautiful. But I know he's always had a thing for you. He once told me you're the woman he'd most like to kiss with on a desert island. I didn't want to say yes if you were interested in him. Trust me, Jen, I'm not. Catherine was determinedly headed for the elevators with her friend hard on her heels. But why not, Jenny persisted. I mean, he's got a dark face and a wonderful body. He's made a killing the last couple of years investing in sounds. You have a point. Catherine pushed the down button. We have a gap here.